example, how could what we already are mandate all kinds of really ferocious activities that require a great deal of perseverance, time, resources to be itself? You see, this doesn't make sense. But within cause and effect, it makes perfect sense. If we're only looking at things within cause and effect, then when we are going to look for something as incredible as enlightenment, liberation, or awakening to add to our accomplishments, then we might think, well, all these other things I've done in life, they require so much work. They required so much work within cause and effect to get them. For enlightenment, I must really have to work. For that, I might have to even work for lifetimes. So you see, these are just assumptions. These are assumptions about the reality of our own being. But why not just know yourself as awareness? Know yourself as as awareness in a very direct way through the direct experience of it, which doesn't feel like anything. So it doesn't feel like anything. It's just the ease that is present right here. The ease that you feel right here, where you're not obsessed about the past or compulsively thinking about the future. It's just the ease of what's right here with nothing going on. This is your natural state. So know that to be yourself, and know that to be not dependent on circumstances. So it's entirely not dependent on circumstances. No one owns awareness. This is another key point. No one owns awareness. There's no one who can tell you about your awareness. It isn't owned by anyone. So the direct experience of your own awareness is the only way, the only means, the skillful means by which you come to a definitive conclusion about yourself. There's no one who has ownership of awareness. When I was 7 years old, I was being raised as a Catholic. And I loved the Catholic Church. I loved the incense. I loved the candles. I loved the Latin Mass. When I was very young, the Mass was in Latin, and I lived in a European-type community, so there was great flourish in our practice of Catholicism. And I just enjoyed the ceremony. I really didn't know what any of it meant. It just felt good. I could feel the presence of love there. I really liked that. And then I started going to Catholic school, and I started hearing all these things about what that presence was. And pretty soon I drew the conclusion, the people telling me about what this presence is, they only know what they know. That's all they can tell me. They can only tell me what they know. They can't know anything else. And then I noticed, too, that presence, some people claimed ownership of it. I started hearing that some people had ownership of it. Well, the Catholic Church owns this presence, or this other church owns this presence. And this is the true church and the true owner of this presence. And I thought, that's not my experience. Oh, this present isn't owned by anybody. It doesn't have any copyright laws that apply to it for any intellectual property laws. It isn't owned by anyone. So I was never convinced about that. And, even though I love so many things about the Catholic Church too, I took what I needed and I left the rest behind, So what I didn't agree with, well, that was okay. I just enjoyed what I did agree with. But, in this is something very important. Another person can only tell us what they know about this that is most obvious. That's all they can tell us. That's all they can share, their own direct experience of that. And the other thing is that what we are isn't owned by anyone. It isn't owned by anyone. We don't need to get it from anyone, and no one can take it away from us. And also, no one needs to confirm it for us. We know whether we're at ease as the essence of our being. We know whether that awareness is totally at ease in each perception. This freedom in immediate perception is the great adventure of every human life. It's the totally great adventure of every human life. If we want people to support us in the full evidence of that becoming more and more spectacularly alive and real, that's fine. I'm not suggesting anything such as no teacher is needed. In any human endeavor, we look to people who know more about something to share that with us. And if we see someone we feel can support us in any endeavor, being a plumber, baking bread, cooking, whatever it is, then we'll want to rely on that person. So I'm not saying do away with all the teachers. I don't make extreme pronouncements of that kind. We all are who we are. We all have different dispositions. We can all come into the awareness of who we are in any circumstance, no matter what it is. So I'm not suggesting that anyone needs to change anything about their life. Whoever you are, wherever you are awareness. So it's as simple as that. Know that when you just enjoy the ease of being of that awareness, you'll know more and more about everything. So all the descriptions in the dictionary, know that you will know more about them. You won't just know their label. You won't just take them to be their label. You'll know them as the essence of awareness. And in knowing them as the inseparability of these two, a wonderful appearance that is awareness only, they will no longer be two. They will no longer be two. There will no longer be the subject and the object. The subject, and you don't need to do anything about this perceived subject of a personal somebody. You don't have to give it a shove over the cliff into the Ganga. You don't have to beat it down through severe practices of the body to prove that it doesn't exist. You can do all of this if you want to, but, just rest as awareness while you're doing it. But, the austerities, they're not necessary. If there's something you must do and you want to do, you go right ahead and do them. But know that austerities, you see, something that is uncaused awareness, something that is not a thing, that is entirely uncaused and unconditioned and unborn, it can never be caused. Because it is uncaused, it cannot be caused. Because it is unborn, it can't be born. So if we're someone who's looking for enlightenment that's a destination down the road, we're looking for something to be born or caused, depending on what's happening right now. Why bother? We already are who we are. And what we're meant to be. So, like I said earlier, awareness isn't hiding out from us. This isn't a game of hide and seek where there's somebody trying to find awareness and awareness is behind the mountain or behind the boulder or something other than sexual desire or whatever it is. Do you see what I mean? Awareness is everything, everything. And there's no way for the full evidence of this to be real in us if we exclude anything. So if we have all of our points of view that are only the pure view of awareness and inseparable from it, which is all that anyone is, and we try to separate out any of those points of view and say they're not awareness, they're not awareness, they're not the wholly positive basic space of awareness. If we try to separate anything out and tame it, refine it away, transform it, psychoanalyze it, or analyze it intellectually or philosophically in some other way, if we try to do any of those things, all we're doing is adding more points of view to the point of view that's already present. We're persisting in cause and effect. We're saying, this is a point of view that needs to be affected in some way. It's the cause of non-recognition of awareness, this point of view that, say, is negative, anger, greed, pride, gluttony, lust, envy, sloth, any of these things. We're saying, okay, this is something that needs to be tamed. It's not really awareness, but I have to make it into awareness. I have to somehow get it out of the way before I can be awareness. And then we spend our whole lifetime focusing on greed, anger, pride, lust, envy, gluttony, and sloth, and trying to get rid of those because we've decided they're not awareness. They're not awareness. They don't have anything to do with awareness. Well, as long as we persist in that, the full evidence of awareness can never come alive in us, because awareness, and know this is your own awareness, is a single blissful expanse of equalness and evenness. It's completely undivided. There's never been a division or split. No matter what the word is from the dictionary, it can't create a division or split in awareness, nor does it exist elsewhere other than awareness. There is no awakening or a liberation separate or apart from any point of view. Separate or apart from any point of view in the dictionary, any word in the dictionary. So if we decide any of these negative and afflictive states are separate from awareness, we'll spend our whole life trying to control those. And in doing so, we won't be able to recognize awareness. In our recognition of awareness, at some point, all these things come up. All those things I just mentioned: greed, anger, pride, lust, envy, gluttony, and sloth. If we enter a spiritual community, when we walk through the door, they don't go away. They go inside the door of the spiritual community with us. We might think, oh, these things are unbearable, I'm going to join a spiritual community. And once I get inside the safe confines of that, then greed, anger, pride, lust, envy, gluttony, and sloth will disappear miraculously. But when we walk through that door, we find wherever we are, there we are. Wherever we are, there we are. Because we are all-encompassing, aware basic space, the infinite vast expanse of awareness that it includes and contains all points of view, including greed, anger, pride, lust, envy, gluttony, and sloth. So all these afflictive states, so to speak, negative states that we've labeled negative, that we've judged to be negative, they're always with us, no matter who we are, and they're unpredictable. They're countless and they're ceaseless. They're just part of the dynamic energy of awareness, just like the brilliance of a diamond is the dynamic energy of the diamond. They're not something other than awareness. They're the luster of awareness. And at some point in our spiritual practice, we'll come face to face with all of these. We won't be able to do anything about them anymore. We won't be able to ignore them if we're lucky. If we're lucky, they'll come up full force. There they'll be. Wow. We'll be thinking, gee, I thought I put that one to bed. Oh, I put that one to bed. I pulled the covers over its head. I said, nice little greed or nice little jealousy or whatever, nice little lust. I put it to sleep and I was sure it was asleep forever, and now here it is. And not only here it is, I can't do anything about it. I want to behave in a way that's not good, and not only that, I can't control myself. I'm suddenly behaving that way. Well, when this occurs, and this occurs in the life of every single person who ever realizes completely perfect enlightenment. It occurs in the life of every single person who has ever reached completely perfect enlightenment, who is realizing completely perfect enlightenment right now, or will realize completely perfect enlightenment in the future. These negative states need to be faced face to face, not turning around and ignoring them, not trying to beat them into submission, not trying to erase them from the blackboard of life, but face to face is the reality of ourselves. These are the lions at the gate of enlightenment, afflictive emotional states. And when these come up too, because we're already totally free in all our perceptions, we've looked at all the positive points of view and all the neutral points of view, and it's sometimes easy for us to know that those are vast, infinite space of our own awareness. But when it comes to these other things that are socially unacceptable, then it might be very difficult for us to really see that those two are the face of God. They're the face of awareness and nothing else. That's all that they are. So what to do? What can we do? Well, it's important. Now is the time when it's really important to have a teacher. So maybe we've integrated all these positive and neutral points of view as awareness. And we've thought, well, off and on, have I really needed a teacher to do this? I know I am awareness. I could see that all these positive and neutral parts of myself, of the vast expanse of awareness, are awareness. But now when we face these negative things, now we know why we have a teacher. We know why we have a teacher. And we better have a teacher who's integrated their own negative points of view as awareness. Because if we don't, we're not going to get much support there. So even if we have a teacher who hasn't integrated those negative states, the afflictive states as awareness, we can find one. There is one available. And that person will become available to us in some way. They will become available to us in some way, in a very direct way. It'll be the case that the teaching we need will be available to us. In the Great Freedom teaching, we place great emphasis on the integration of negative or afflictive states as awareness, because there is no completely perfect enlightenment without that. So this is very, very important. You see, when we come up to the lions at the gate of enlightenment, all these afflictive or negative states, then we have a choice. We have a choice to continue to rest as awareness, to know ourselves as we are as these things arise, to not act on any of the impulses or urges that might come up associated with them, to continue to rest naturally, to seek the support, the refuge, the ease of our teacher and teaching and community, and to go to people within the community who have integrated their own negative points of view. Because it's only these people who can help us. You see, someone who has never integrated their negative points of view as awareness, they're not going to be able to help us. They're going to look at us and they're going to have some other solution. You better read a book about positive affirmations, or you better do some yoga or something like that, because they just won't know how to support us. But the only reason they don't is because they haven't integrated their own negative points of view as awareness. If we've done that, then we can really be of support to someone else. So this is a very important, because these lions at the gate, if we don't rest as awareness and we start thrashing around and getting all upset about what's going on, not knowing what to do, feeling like, oh, we're not a spiritual practitioner any longer, or we've never really been a spiritual practitioner because all along all these points of view have been present, but somehow we didn't know. We thought we'd already put them to sleep forever. Well, if we start having a lot of doubts and not knowing what to do and jumping up and down and being upset, then, the lions, they're just pouncing on us. They're starting to enjoy our flesh. But if we just stand there and we go, wow, this too is the magical display of awareness. These things that I never thought could be awareness, they are awareness. These too are awareness. Then we have more and more ease. We feel more and more this great immediate naturalness of our being. And it is such a joy. It is such a joy to realize that everything about ourselves is complete in and of itself. That we've never been this bad character, like we've never been an outlaw from awareness. We've never been an outlaw from awareness. We're not the criminal of awareness because we have negative We have negative points of view. They're all awareness. And this is what awareness wants us to know about ourselves. Awareness wants us to know we're vast as infinite space. We're vast as infinite space. We are awareness, vast as infinite space, inseparable from all points of view. All the points of view, positive, negative, or neutral, are only the dynamic energy of awareness. They're the dynamic energy of awareness and nothing else. They've never been outside awareness. And when we realize this, then we really feel the reality of what we are. It's just so clear. And not only do we realize this about ourselves, when we realize this about ourselves, then we realize it about everyone. We realize it about everyone. Everyone's okay. Everyone's okay just as they are. So this is what it means when we hear that these pronouncements about everyone is yourself. Well, this is what it really means. It means we've gotten down to business with ourselves. We've seen ourselves as we are, totally perfect and complete just as we are. And in seeing that, the doors are flung wide open. Then we see that everyone is us, that there's no one who has ever been not awake. There aren't a bunch of people running around who aren't awake, and then we're the awake ones. We're not looking at things in that way. Everybody's awake. Everybody's totally free. You see, either everybody's totally free or we're not free. That's the way it is. So some of these perceptions, they just fall away. We don't have to beat them out of existence or torture them in any way. They just naturally go their way. They go their way. They're awareness too. They're just they're misconceptions about what's been going on. Maybe we've heard something and it was an erroneous perception that someone shared with us. That's all, an erroneous teaching. But everything is awareness. Everything is awareness. We can never realize that through philosophical or intellectual understandings. Philosophical and intellectual understandings, they may support us a little bit, but it's our own direct experience of living a human life and realizing that everything about that life is timelessly free. Everything about that life is timelessly free, including its birth and death. Those are timelessly free too. Because you see, timeless freedom, birth and death are just points of view. A life is just a point of view. Know that timeless freedom. Know that omniscient, vast expanse of awareness as yourself.